they look, as we were saying before, they look for shrubby species to go and look for cover when it's either raining or it's too windy or it's nighttime and they need to go to sleep. They're gonna look for, as we see before, the U species. They also go for evergreens like the pines or the American hollies. Primarily those views, but also they're gonna go for dry branches. So for example, you see over here, everywhere, it's covered with like these branches. Oh, I can want to like point. And there's a bunch of robins even right now, just hanging out in these branches. So what I noticed that works best is to have designated areas with a lot of like dry sticks. If you do like piles of that in your garden, naturally you're gonna get out first. You're gonna get different insects to go there, so you're gonna feed them. And they're gonna go look like they're gonna go hiding there. For example, if there's a red-tailed hawk or something like hunting, they're gonna go in there and they're gonna hide. So big piles of dry sticks from whatever tree, basically trees. That's very good. Does anyone else want to share something where you have seen that works to shelter for birds? Where have we seen that? That birds in the buildings. That's right.
Well, like,
in the crevices.
Yeah, red-tailed hawks. Like I mean, maybe not shelter, but maybe like pretty much. Yeah.
Amazon.
Yeah, like little crevices.
Amazon has an interesting collection of different kinds of there's some are platforms and some have certain covers and
like talking about like birdhouses?
Birdhouses, yeah, for different types of birds. I didn't realize it. Just assumed they all had sort of the same thing, but there's a lot of different kinds of.
Birds are very picky about their birdhouses. If you are interested in having a birdhouse in your garden, you're going to want to think about what kind of bird you might want to attract. I think Leanne was talking about this with a couple people earlier. Not all birds will nest inside of a birdhouse because they're not all like cavity nesters, and they can be very specific about the size of the hole, like the diameter of the hole, because they want it to be big enough for them to fit in, but not too big that everything else can get in also.
Yeah. Eat their eggs and
Audubon has some resources about different sizes of nesting boxes if you want that in your garden. But yeah, it's a good idea to start thinking about what kind of birds you might want to attract and then make habitat for those birds accordingly. Any other things to add on to that?
Cavities of old trees. Sometimes an old tree looks like it's like no longer serving a purpose, but actually it can be the home to a lot of different species, assuming they're not hazardous in the garden. But if they don't pose like a risk, it can be nice to leave like old stumps or old, trees that have cavities in them still.
That's true. There's a cavity on this tree right here. You see that? So that usually happens when the tree just naturally a branch breaks off and the air kind of just fills around it. Notice that one very good tree that works for birds is the American, no, not American, it's the, I forget, the London plane. The London plane has a lot of those holes and they birds love together.
Oh, these guys.
Yeah, these are the ones, the London planes.
Good more.
Also, I learned something really interesting about how they help filter out pollutants, the London plane trees. So they'll store them in the bark, and sometimes when you see like those bits of bark peeling off, they're actually really good for us too. Help to kind of remove air pollutants.
What about the nests? We saw many nests in our walk. Now this is a sort of shelter too when they're caring for the baby birds. So I think sometimes too birds go and they love grasses, specific grasses. What's the name of this one? The one you were planting.
Carrots?
Yes. What's the name?
Carrots?
carex. Yes, carex, am I saying properly?
It's a setting, right?
Yes, yes, in the fish family. But that's one. Another one is the sweetgrass. Probably you can get that one. You're lucky if you get that one. What else? What do birds use to create the nest? I saw that some of them use plastic. That was odd. What else?
Hair.
Hair.
Yeah. If you brush your hair, you have dogs, you leave it out in the garden.
They birds love to add some fluff to their nests, especially once they've made the like outside shape of it. It helps create like a little cushion for the eggs, which insulates them. It keeps them warm, but it also keeps them like protected. Make sure they don't break.
I also know that they use moss. Like they go around looking for moss. These are the hummingbirds. So when they create the little nest, they look specifically for the moss, and they kind of create the kind of like the shell of it. And then inside it's like very fluffy, warm, like feathers sometimes too. Yeah, other feathers. They find feathers.
To keep it together, they use a spider web to put it together and keep it tidy.
Mud sometimes.
Cool. Cool, I think you did very good. So let's continue. We're gonna go and finish with the heart of feathers, but we're gonna go for the grass area for that.
Perfect.
And let's keep an eye open for things that birds might use to create shelter.